Welcome to Nice and Sunny, the podcast. Hello, once again from the road. It's probably never going to be, almost rarely being not from the road somewhere. I'm in Hanoi, I'm still in Vietnam, for only a few more days before traveling on. But while I'm still here, I'm recording one more podcast episode for you. And today we're going to talk about how to stick to your morning routine while traveling. And it's not just while traveling, it's also while being a digital nomad, basically, because you are constantly changing your environment. You have different days, you're not setting your alarm, so you don't have the same kind of daily routine as a structure already. So it's important to build your own routine. So building your own morning routine in general is already difficult. I would assume that a lot of you listeners, because you're probably tuning in to listen to it to get some advice on this, those of you that have not got a morning routine just yet, bear with me. I am going to give you a couple of tips around that later, but I am going to address more how, if you have already an established morning routine, how you can then basically keep that up while you're on the road, while you're traveling. And these are things that work for me, but obviously this is just something I'm going to discuss with you, maybe give you some ideas on how you could solve this or fix this for your own surroundings, your own life. So having a morning routine is in itself already quite hard, right? So it's like if you go to work, if you have a normal 9-to-5 job, you can a little more easily get that implemented because you will have a certain time of the day that the alarm will go, and then you can just fit something in before you then finally go to work. And if you want to add something new, you can always just say, hey, I set my alarm 10 minutes earlier so that I can make this happen, right? What then happens quite often is that weekends are the time when things fall off, So it's you go drinking maybe, and the next morning you just don't want to go to the gym, or you don't want to do your yoga or something like that. So it's usually for 9-to-5 workers, the weekends tend to disrupt the morning routine a bit. Then obviously next thing is if you go travel. So you are working 9-to-5, and then finally you can go on a vacation, on holiday, and then everything falls apart because most of us might think that this morning routine is something that we have to do and not that we want to do. So once you're on holiday, you go, it doesn't count, right? It's like the diet, like holiday calories don't count, So it's very important to keep in mind that this should be something you want to do. And if you want to do it, then it will be easier to sustain and to keep up when you're on the road. And obviously, I know that travel in general disrupts like everything from nutrition over sleep, anything. Your body is completely out of sync. And also depends on how far away the travel is. We have jet lag on top of that and all these kind of things. So travel is just disrupting everything. But that is even more reason to look at your morning routine or the routines over the day in general, also the evening routines, to keep yourself grounded and keep yourself in a certain routine that doesn't throw you off completely. And you might actually suffer a negative effect and a negative experience when you go and travel and you want to go on vacation. So obviously, if you are a digital nomad, I haven't, because I'm only since May I'm doing this, so it's still quite fresh. So I haven't figured out yet how long I'm going to stay in different places. And obviously it varies anyway. But having talked to different nomads that have been doing this for many years, it's often being said that slow travel is the way to go, meaning that you stay a month, 2 months, maybe even longer in one place before then moving on to the next location. So I haven't figured that out properly yet because I've only just started. Now here in Vietnam, I am for 2 weeks. And then after this, I'm going to travel on to Cambodia, and I'm going to be there for 2.5 weeks roughly. Going to a different country doesn't always necessarily mean that you're in the same spot as well, right? So like here in Vietnam, I actually changed accommodation because I had a hostel for 1 week and it was a little bit too noisy for me, that I then went to a different accommodation. which is a hotel. And this is where I'm recording this right now, under my duvet, because it's all a little noisy, of course. And I don't have a audio recording studio that I travel with, but a duvet is quite good for this. Yeah, so once you know you're staying in a spot for longer, then you can obviously set up for routines way better, right? So if you say, like if I know now I'm going to Cambodia and I'm going to be there for 2.5 weeks, I obviously started looking up gyms that are close to the hotel where I'm at, and to see, can I actually maybe for the time I'm here build a proper gym routine, something like that. And turns out I actually moved to a different location now, so that hotel actually has a gym. So now I can start planning for it. And this is the thing, like planning, obviously. I have a feeling that a lot of people that might struggle with morning routines are also people that struggle with planning for things. But this could benefit each other. This could complement each other if you either become a good planner or you become a good morning routine person. It can help on the other side of this for sure. So yeah, once you know what your life will look like once you travel, if it's just for holiday or if it's as a digital nomad, then you can start planning for it. What's usually suggested is that your morning routine is easy enough that you can do it anywhere, right? Of course, if part of your morning routine is to go on the treadmill or go for a run, then this can cause all kinds of problems when you travel to a different place. Like, do they have a treadmill? Is it a safe area to run in? Can you actually pack your sport gear and all this kind of stuff? So again, it comes down to planning. So this is probably advice number one here. In order to keep up your morning routine, just have an honest look at what your morning routine looks like, and look at each single point and see what could be the problems that you could face when you're going to the new place. Obviously, let's remove things like you're getting drunk because it's fun. You're in Vegas and YOLO. But like, how does it look like? For example, this is a good example. When I was in Vegas this year, I made sure, because I was at the Excalibur, the castle, I made sure that I'm in that tower of that castle where also the gym is, so that I just don't have an excuse. And in addition to that, to actually keep me accountable and actually make sure that I go to the gym every day, I created a little challenge for myself where I said, I want to go to the gym for at least 1 hour, 20 days in a row. And it was like a plan, like a challenge that I put onto myself. And then obviously, because I'm documenting everything, it's quite fun to then go over it. By the way, I didn't make it because I got sick. But yeah, so it's quite good. Figure out what's your hotel, what's the situation there for your personal morning routine to make sure that it's actually possible to keep it up. So, and if you don't have a gym, for example, that you need, or exercising, then it might become even a little easier. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my personal morning routine right now. It's a little bit of an odd one, but I think everybody should figure out what's good for themselves and not, what you just find on the internet, what other people do. And here's just a side note for those that don't have a morning routine just yet. Just start with one thing and then add another thing and then add another thing. So make sure you build this one thing so well that it's no problem to add a second thing. But don't start thinking, I have to do these 5 things every morning now. And then you just start and you notice you can't keep it up, and then you will fall off the wagon. So if you want to start a good morning routine, start with one thing. So the stuff that I do every morning, so I've made a little, because my whole life is organized on Trello. So I made a little note there, a card on Trello that has a checklist. So sometimes it's very easy to forget some of the things. So I have a checklist that just, again, keeps me accountable. And there's so many tools for this. There's so many apps. If you just look on, if you just Google it, basically, there's so many apps that help you to build a routine. And I don't really want to recommend anything because all these apps are different. So, and everybody has different needs. So yeah, if you just check there and try some out and see which one is more fun, because it should be fun, right? And there are some apps that are gamified, and that makes it easier to stick to things and get little fun rewards for getting things done. So I was using an app to hold myself accountable, but now I just use Trello because everything is organized on Trello. Anyway, for me personally, that's why I put everything there. So I have this card, and then I tick it off. I tick everything off, and then I can move the card to the done list of the day, which is a really nice feeling. And then I know, okay, now I can start the day. I can't really start any of the other tasks that I have in my list before I have finished the morning routine. So it's for me a little, it's quite important to get that done before I start anything else. I mean, again, at weekends, sometimes I fall completely off and I finish my morning routine at like 4 p.m. That can happen. The main thing is that you do it, okay? So the things that I have on the list are, for example, a very simple one that I started with is, and this is probably not interesting for other people, but I actually made it a task for the morning. I check the podcasts. So all my iTunes subscribed podcasts, I see what's new, because this can then actually motivate me to listen to a certain thing and then maybe add a new morning routine task, which would be writing. So I haven't figured that out 100% yet. So the writing part isn't in my morning routine, but just checking what the podcasts are for the day. And then it's basically, I can look forward to once I leave bed. So this is something I still do in bed. Once I leave bed and then go to the bathroom for all that stuff, then I can look forward to the podcast that I'm going to listen to. So it's actually part of a routine, and it's a nice thing to just tick off. It's super easy, right? Then I obviously have a very brief mindfulness or meditation practice, which is I'm using the app Calm for that, and they have a daily 10-minute exercise, and I really want to do more someday, but this is the same thing with meditation. It's always recommended start with 10 minutes a day. And then once you have this nailed down, extend it and make it maybe 20 minutes, so that way you can, once you know you're actually doing it, you can then extend it and expand it. The thing is, this daily routine that they have is 10 minutes and you can't really choose a longer one, because otherwise I would go for 15 minutes now. I'm ready. But yeah, they don't have that option, unfortunately. And then while I'm in that state, in that meditation, mindfulness state, and just get myself tidied up, my brain tidied up for the day. What I also add to this is some breathing techniques. So I usually do that before I start the meditation. So it's this 4-7-8 variant. I think you can find that online if you just Google 4-7-8 breathing. So I do that for a little bit, and then I do the actual meditation. And then after that, what I added as well is a visualization. And it's something I do, I think I talked about this before in an interview that I did. What I actually do, and this is really to give myself perspective for the day, so that you don't get upset about minor things that aren't really big issues. What I do is I imagine myself, so I visualize how I'm actually moving from wherever I am in the world, moving out, like in Google Maps when you zoom out, and I actually leave the planet and I'm hanging in space, looking down on Earth, and then it's like, oh, this is my home down there, this is Earth. And then I look around and see the universe and see other planets, and the sun is in my back, warming my back. So I'm trying to visualize that and really imagine the vastness of the universe, which is obviously impossible for a human to do, but I'm trying to. And then I zoom slowly back into Earth, into exactly the spot. It looks like Google Maps when I visualize that. You zoom in and there's a little dot where I am, and then zoom back in where I'm sitting right now, and then I do a little bit of a body scan to just feel, okay, this is what I'm feeling right now, this is where I'm sitting, this is what I'm hearing, this is what I'm smelling. And then I open my eyes and go, this is what I'm seeing, and then I'm fresh. And the thing is, if I really don't do this whole thing, I don't feel as fresh for the day. It's pretty amazing. This is something I'd often do after I left bed already, so it's not like a bed thing. And then also what I do is a very short, probably like 8 minutes or something, stretching yoga routine. And once again, it's something, if I don't do that, I actually have really bad back pain and neck pain and so on. And it's just a very basic stretching thing for my back and neck. And this is something, again, it totally depends on you as a person. Like, what are the areas that maybe a physiotherapist has told you that you should do, and all these kind of things. Where do you normally have a pain later during the day? So you can work towards that in the morning, and just for you, personalized, do a very quick, it could be 3 minutes, like whatever, like a really short one to just get some stretching in. And then obviously, if you get good at this, you can then start doing routines like this in the afternoon and the evening and build on that. But right now I'm just talking about the morning routines. And then I usually start looking at at my Trello list for the day, like all the tasks that I want to do. And I really look at it and really think about, will I be able to do this today? If yes, I keep them. If not, I move them to a different day. And all these things are left in today. I then try and prioritize and actually put them into the day, shuffle them into the day in an order that makes sense for me. And then I feel like I can start the day. The thing, what I'm not mentioning necessarily in this is part of it before I leave bed is I'm going through all my social media things, and I'm going through some games. And this is something which is obviously not suggested for people normally to do, but I do it because it's fun. I like to start the day seeing what's up. I like to see messages, and I do like a lot of the games that I'm playing, like Hearthstone or Wizards Unite, have like daily challenges that I try and do. And then I feel like, okay, I've had my fun. I've done some preparation. And then I stand up with the podcast running and start the day. So this is my personal thing, and it is very personalized on my needs. And obviously, it is nice to be a digital nomad, not having to set an alarm. And if it takes a little longer to win those Hearthstone games, it's not the end of the world. Right. And so why is a morning routine important? And for me, it really is to ground myself. And this is why this whole meditation, mindfulness, visualization stuff comes in there as well. Because if I do all of this every single day, wherever I'm in the world, it just sets me up perfectly for the day. And it doesn't matter what's going on and what the day will look like. If it's going to be a stressful day, if I'm going to go to the beach. If I do all this in the morning, it grounds me. It lets me know this is you, this is who you are, this is where you are, and this is how you feel today. And it's a pretty nice thing to just get yourself up and running, and you feel like you've already won. There's other things that I do that I try to do to build as a morning routine, for example, making the bed and stuff like that. You can add all these things. I don't even put them in there anymore as to tick off because they're already habit, which is really nice. But there's all these things that make you feel like you've already had a productive and good start for the day. And for me, it is moving this card in Trello with all the ticked boxes, moving it over to done, and then can start with the next task. So it feels pretty good. It also is just simply a clear beginning of the day. So again, that's why weekends are always difficult, when you just whenever you just roll out of bed at some point and then you start the day, you watch TV and have the leftover pizza or something. So if you add this morning routine, and for me, I think all in all, it takes about 45 minutes to do all these things. If you add this as a block that just can't be moved, then you have a very clear beginning for the day, and whatever happens, you feel like you've already done something very important that's good for you. And yeah, and the thing is, I am actually very proud at the moment, because I'm literally on the second loop around the world this year alone, and for almost a full year, so I'm at like 320 days or something, I have held up my morning routine. So that is, I know that because on the Calm app, it counts the days. So I see in the calendar that every single day I've been doing it. And because I've done that, I know that I've done most of the other things every day as well, which is, makes me very proud, to be honest. The thing that I don't have down yet is the during the day routine. So I always have this thing in there saying 3 p.m. routine, and I never actually do it. And then also evening routine, to actually say this is the end of the day and now I'm going to sleep and get my rest. It's a very important routine as well, but I don't have that down yet. And if you have any advice for me, I'm absolutely happy to listen to that. Or if you want to tell me about your morning routines, that would be interesting as well. You can send that to me on contact@niceandsunny.com, or just hook me up on any of the other social media channels. It's Nice and Sunny everywhere. It's everywhere. It's Nice and Sunny. So you can just write me and let me know, what are your morning routines, and do you have a well-functioning evening routine? Because that's definitely something I still need to figure out and need to get right. But yeah, as soon as I have that down, I will definitely record another podcast and let you know about that. Could be a nice resolution for 2020. Maybe get my midday and evening routine sorted. I think that's a good one. Now I gave myself an idea here. Okay, that was everything I had on the list to talk about. I'm not sure if it will help you to stick to your morning routine while you're traveling. I really hope it will. It is something, it's very personal. It's really something that you have to find for yourself. And the big thing, if you still want to build a routine, is really to just always add one thing. Try one thing And then after a month or maybe 3 weeks or something, add a second thing, and then really feel into yourself. Because if you feel like you do not want to do it, then you might have to rethink what kind of routines you want to add here. They are supposed to be good for you, and they should feel good, and they should make you proud to have done it in the morning. Yeah, and the other thing is really to have some kind of gamified way for yourself, for your personal needs, to hold you accountable. So there are all these apps or Trello or whatever it is, so that you can then say for yourself, tick, 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 I've done this, I'm done, and I can start the day, and it's a really good feeling. And so once you have that down, and have a very easy to use app, that's why an app is good for the phone, because wherever you are in the world, you will have that with you, so that won't change. So that should be your tool to then keep you grounded and keep you up to speed with your routines. Right, I think that I really hope that was helpful. It was just a bit of a feedback on what I'm doing, and I'm really, really interested in what you guys do. So yeah, feel free to get in touch, send me your thoughts and your routines and maybe some advice, anything like that. Shoot me a message. And yeah, I will hear you, or you will hear me again from Cambodia. That's where I'm going to record the next episode for this podcast. So I say goodbye from Hanoi, Vietnam, and I talk to you next week. Bye!